to you live from Tel Aviv. Turkey has cancelled all trade with Israel as of today. That's according to a report in Bloomberg, which is citing two unnamed Turkish officials. No official announcement from the government. Turkey does export some $7 billion worth of goods to Israel each and every year, but President Erdogan has been one of Israel's fiercest critics since the Hamas attacks on October 7th. Well, joining us on the line, Dr. Hayetan Cohen Yanarochak. He's a Turkey expert at the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security. Thank you very much for being with us, Hayetan. So this would be a pretty drastic move if confirmed, would it not?
Indeed. Approximately 3 weeks ago, we all witnessed that they took the first step. They halted like approximately 50% of the trade with Israel. Then it was all focused on the trade. Then it was also focused on the construction sector. And 2 days ago, they also declared a new decision of joining to South Africa at The Hague. And today, unfortunately, we heard a new development, a very negative development, that Turkey halted all trade ties with the state of Israel. I would like to remind you that the two countries are enjoying proper diplomatic relations since 1949, and they never had to sign a peace treaty to have some such relations. So this is an unprecedented deterioration in the relations, and this is unfortunately very unfortunate, especially for the Jewish community in Turkey.
Well, Hayetan, talk us through the nature of trade between Turkey and Israel, because it is pretty significant, as you say. But which economy is likely to suffer more from this move?
If we're going to look at the balance between imports and exports, it's an own goal for Turkey because they profited more from this trade balance, especially the Turkish agriculture sector, steel sector, cement sector. They would be devastated, I assume, right? And today we are seeing that also other products such as textiles, such as cleaning materials and agricultural goods, they will also suffer from this drastic decision. We cannot explain this on the basis of rationality. This is not a rational decision. At the end, the Turkish side will lose more than Israel. For Israel, this is a very strategic, this decision has strategic ramifications. We have to replace Turkey with another provider, and this will eventually will push a further rapprochement between Cyprus, Greece and Israel. This is...
meanwhile, amid all of this, Hamas is still yet to respond to the latest offer by Israel of a ceasefire in exchange for some of the hostages. The group's political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, says the deal is being studied with what he called a positive attitude. Israel, meanwhile, divided over whether or not the IDF should enter Rafa, the last Hamas stronghold in Gaza. Our Nasri Nassar has the latest.
If it's Rafa or the hostages, we choose life. That's the message on a sign displayed by families of Israeli hostages held by Hamas since October 7, as they stepped up their pressure to reach a deal with protests in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. In Tel Aviv, protesters blocked the main highway during morning rush hour, chanting slogans calling for an immediate deal to end the bloodshed and bring upon the release of all hostages.
I'm against the entrance to Rafah. We need to stop the war. We need to bring back the hostages home. Enough. It's 7 months already. There is no time for the hostages. They will be all dead until they'll come home.
In Jerusalem, a women's protest group placed huge photos of female hostages near the home of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
A horrible situation when we have still 133 hostages in Gaza, and we came this morning in front of the house of the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to demand and to tell him and to remind him that all the eyes of the women in the hostages and the men and the citizens of Israel are on him and on the cabinet, and we are demanding to bring this deal.
Netanyahu is convening his war cabinet this evening to discuss a possible deal and a ground operation into the southern Gaza city of Rafa, where Israel says Hamas is still operating and where over 1 million Palestinians have found refuge during the war. Far-right ministers Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich are urging Netanyahu not to accept ceasefire proposal, and the latter still promises to enter Rafah even without the backing of the United States. But no matter what Israel and the US wants, it's still Hamas which has the final word on whether a deal goes through. A statement from the terror group today said they would continue to study the proposal and negotiations should continue, meaning yet another delay for the hostages' families who have already waited so long to see their loved ones returned home.
And a reminder, of course, 133 hostages are still being held in Gaza. Every day, new stories are emerging about experiences there. He said he would marry her and keep her captive in Gaza forever. 18-year-old Noga Weiss is the latest former hostage to speak out about the horrors she endured after being kidnapped by terrorists on October 7th. More in this report.
This is the first time they're ready to share what the Weiss family went through on that terrible morning of October 7th.
Some 40 to 50 terrorists were standing in a circle, all with Kalashnikovs aimed at me. My hands were handcuffed behind my back.
And you were alone?
Alone, and I saw next to me the bodies of people I knew from the kibbutz. And after a few minutes, they put me in a car. They drove through the fence to Gaza. Lots, thousands of small children passing by, clapping their hands and telling them good job, and putting their hands through broken windows to pull my hair or hit me.
What did you think of at that moment?
Nothing. I didn't understand why they were delaying shooting me.
Noga was taken to one of the houses of Hamas terrorists, where they tried to interrogate her about her family. Later in the day, she was transferred to another house, where she found Moran Stella Yanai, who was kidnapped from the party in Reim. And they were kept together in a small room. And every few days, they were moved to another house.
The second night, I slept facing a window. I woke up because there was a bomb strike, and the building next to us fell, so the window shattered on me. So just a while ago, I took out a glass shard from my body that I had all this time.
And when they moved you from house to house, how were you transferred?
At night with a hijab, Hamasniks held our hands so that people thought we were married, so that there was nothing suspicious.
2 weeks later, they moved to a new home. That day, there was something different in the behavior of the captors.
They brought us food and brought more food than usual, and it was strange. And suddenly, a woman dressed up in Arab clothes entered in the evening. It took me a few seconds, and I looked at her and realized that it was my mom. It took us a while to recognize each other, because I didn't think she was alive, and she didn't think I was alive. So it wasn't like a situation we even imagined. It was crazy, because I thought I was left alone. Suddenly she's alive, and I'm not alone.
Very soon, the joy and relief that both were alive were replaced by fear. Are you thinking of moving back to Be'eri?
Yes. Probably not.
Yes, and probably not. Why is that?
I don't know. On one hand, it's my home. It's like the place where I should feel the safest. And on the other hand, I don't know if it's possible.